should still be in preview. It's not automatically playing for me.
Okay.
And
Go live.
you ready to go live?
Yeah.
Do it. Do it.
Are we good?
Yeah. And we should be live.
You're live.
We are live.
They're saying we're live. Are we live? Oh, I see a thing spinning. Hey! I'm scratching the side of my face. Good look for me. And we just got a notification that something arrived at the Studio City P.O. Box. So if you want to go down there at 12:17 at night. Oh, God, what's going on? It's 17 minutes past 12. Okay, so why are we going on late? Well, we're going on late because, as you probably know, well, early if you're in Europe, it's 9:17 in Germany. Hello there, Mark Becker. Hey, Mark, we're going to go and visit Taylor. Are you going to be at Super Booth? Are we going to see you at Super Booth? So we're going to be at Taylor on Saturday morning. We're going to be at Eve on Thursday in a meet and greet. So any Europeans, and particular, obviously, anybody from Deutschland, we are going to be at Hansa for 3 days, but then, of course, we're going to be at Super Booth for 3 days. It is pretty dark at the moment. Seems a little darker than normal. Is the camera set up with the right schnizzle?
Yeah, probably just because we have no daylight coming in now.
No daylight whatsoever, but we filmed the other one at night the other day and it looked fine. Are you sure this is set properly? Okay, yeah. In that case, it's just dark. It is 12:18 at night. Okay, so what's exciting about this? Well, so there's an artist called Clifford. He's a very good old friend of mine. And he was in a band called Jump Little Children, which were sort of, they were from the Carolinas. In fact, actually, he lives in Charleston, I believe now. And he's ridiculously talented. And I got to produce an album for him and engineer it as well, of course. And Mark Needham originally mixed it. And those of you that may have already got this, there is a Mark Needham course with the song Know When to Walk Away. So what I decided to do was, you know, we're about to go to Germany. It's been really super busy this week and we haven't filmed the, you know, the mixed breakdown for the month. So it was either a case of delaying it or maybe doing a two-part one and starting it off here and letting you download the multitracks. And if we do the two-part one, I can also do it hybrid and use the old, you know, widget over here and talk about the console settings and kind of have some fun. So Eric is going to upload these multitracks and send an email with the multitracks. And we went and listened to the whole album, and this is the song I wanted to give the Academy. I absolutely love this song, and you're going to know why when you hear it. Even in the rough state that it's in, you're going to know why. Because it's everything that I love with, yeah, I don't know, have a listen. It's pretty fantastic.
In the bosom of the radio, and it's been in my ear the sweetest of lies, watching all the yesterdays glow. I can hear your voice like the loom of an organ's footwork pedaling. I cover my mouth with a curse and a cross to paralyze. Don't you trust me? I'm listening. Don't you trust me? Time changes time into a spineless curve, turned on a dime, away from a world's prison. Lost in my mind is a shallow reserve, but you got a lot to learn. The feeling I get from closing my eyes is like throwing my hands in the air.
Anyway, you can see why I love it. I mean, I absolutely love this song, and this was one of the songs that I really got to put my stamp on because, well, first of all, it's recorded at my old studio, and the drum room is just wonderful. Let's just put this drum room up. This is the drum room here. So this is where I recorded "How to Save a Life," you know, the single. Now this is Travis McNabb. For those of you that don't know who Travis is, he was Better Than Ezra's drummer for years. Not the original drummer, the drummer when they got big. Well, it's sort of. The first album was done with the original drummer who unfortunately, I can't think of a nice way of putting it, he committed suicide. And this is the drummer that took over. And he was with them for years. And then he joined Sugarland. So he's the drummer in Sugarland. Now he's playing with like 100 different people. He's a wonderful, wonderful drummer. His name's Travis McNabb. And he's a little, what I love about his drumming, and I know AJ and all the drummers here, Jeff McDonald, all these guys will really get to appreciate this, is that he doesn't do anything standard. He's always, I don't know, listen to his fills. Have a listen to this. I mean, that's just totally untoward. I mean, everything about this groove is untoward. Who would think this way? No editing at all. And you can see this is not on the grid. This is a guy that knows how to play. Really wonderful drummer. Now, the bass player is Dan Rothschild, who is, you know, without question, one of the greatest bass players in the world. And have a listen to his bass here. You know I love this because it's total Joy Division meets The Cure. It's just so good. Love that tone with that chorus on it. So this is what's interesting. This is double mic'd, and it's a couple of guys and girls, you've asked me about double miking. Well, this is an octava. Remember those little Russian octavas? Really, really nice microphones. An octava with an 87. So it's the two together. Here's the 87 on its own. and then a little touch of the octave. Let's have a listen to that. Now it's all done with the pedal. I believe it was my pedal. Can you? It's the Volt pedal. Cheapest, crappiest chorus flanger you've ever seen in your life, and I love it. Here it is. So this was the pedal that was used. It's actually a flanger. We set it on a very slow flange, covered in dust. Thought you guys cleaned up. Yeah, just not the pedals. Okay, so there it is. It's called a Volt flanger. I think a Vols flanger with a Z, with a Z, V-O. And you can find them occasionally. They're just, you know, it's actually quite substantial. It's only got one screw holding it together on the back here. But it's a great, great pedal. And it just sounds cheap and crap enough to sound like, you know, that Robert Smith may have used it. That's what I love about it. Oh, and can anybody feel free to keep posting this link in the chat. This is totally impromptu, but I wanted to do this so we at least got started on part 1 of this mixed breakdown for those of you, you know, because it's the beginning of the month and we normally put out the multi-tracks on the first Wednesday, and of course the first Wednesday was the beginning of the month. So I wanted to make sure that we didn't, you know, we didn't renege on that deal, especially because we're going to be in Germany. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pan those left and right. So, and then the other one, which is, and what this is a different acoustic. It's a Guild. Now, I believe this Guild, these are both Greg Saran's guitars. Now, I don't know if you get to watch it. I don't watch it that often, maybe once a year, but I watched it just the other day. I think we talked about this the other day because Queen were on American Idol. So, you know, I'm going to watch American Idol when Queen are on it. Look, there's my Queen reference for the day, or for the evening, or the night, or the morning, depending how you look at it. Anyway, they were on it, and Greg is the guitar player. So he's the blonde-haired guy. He used to be the MD for Jewel, and now he's the MD, of course, for American Idol. And he's a great guy. So this is his Guild here. And I believe this is a Dadgad tuning. That's what it sounds like. So it's Dadgad. So the main guitar and the bass and the drums were tracked together. So here's the live guitar. It's called live guitar. So what you'll hear is the drums. Let's put in the live elements, and I'll play everything that was tracked live. So bass was live, drums were obviously live, and this electric guitar was live. There's a new vocal you can see, which was the overdub. There's some strings, and the string arrangement was done by Jay himself and recorded in Charleston with the symphony orchestra. So the strings, I get a lot of people asking me about strings, so here's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for you to mix a real orchestra. And it's pretty separated out. Let's just go for a second. So what we have here, let's have a listen. So as you can see, a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to add this to your resume, something with real strings. It's really, really beautiful. Okay, I wanted to go back to the original idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the original live stuff so you can get to hear. I don't have the scratch vocal loaded into this. This is already, you can see it's already been prepped for you. But I'm going to play you all of the live stuff without the scratch vocal. And we did have a DI acoustic that I tracked as well live. Unfortunately, I don't have those in the session, but these are all of the elements except for a scratch vocal and a live acoustic. Just absolutely beautiful. So let's take that and pan that a little bit out of the way, and then pan the other one of Greg's guitars the other way and see what we got.
As bury my face in the bosom of the radio, and it's been in my ear the sweetest of lies, watching all the yesterdays glow. I can hear your voice like the loom of an organ's footwork pedaling. I cover my mouth with a curse and a cross to paralyze. Trust me, I'm listening. Don't you trust me? Time changes time into a spineless curve, turned on a dime, away from what was preserved. Lost in my mind is a shallow reserve, but you've got a lot to learn. The feeling I get from closing my eyes is like throwing my hands in the air. I can fill up my mouth with curses and lies.
Sorry? Okay, so can you get the multi-tracks uploaded tonight? Oh yeah, tonight for sure. Yeah. Great. So I'm really loving this. So let's keep going through and describing what we did. Okay, so I think you're getting a great feel of it. So it was an 87 on the vocal. It is a 1073. It's a DBX 160V view into an 1176. It's quite gentle. I think most of the, here we got the Oxford EQ that I've done here. So pretty minor stuff. You know, you can see, I can highlight the EQ here. There's a little bit of cut in the low mids at about 196, about 200. There's a bit of a low boost in his voice at about 100. And then there's a nice kind of presence lift at about 3K. I've been getting into recently on the vocal, putting about a 2 to 3K little punch. You know what I mean? Just a little bit. I like, Paul, I like your reference to the Cotto twins. I agree with that. That is exactly what I was going for. These, I will say without a word of a lie, the guitar part and the bass part are completely dictated by me. Jay came up with the arrangement on his own. He took away the song and did that string arrangement on his own. That is all him. He's a master string arranger. He's absolutely amazing. but the guitar and the bass and the drums I worked really heavily on. It's just a sound that I wanted. And of course the acoustic with that sort of free, kind of airy. You go to the chorus. You know, to go further off of Paul's discussion on the Cocteau Twins, I mean, that's 100% Robin Guthrie. That is Robin Guthrie through and through. When, as you probably know, my oldest friend in the world is Patch Hannon, who's the drummer for the Sundays, and Cocteau Twins were a huge influence on the Sundays, and it's so those are the guys and girls I grew up with. So. To me, this is music that I love. When it comes to pop music, this is a pop song in my world. You know, a bit of Joy Division, New Order bass line. With the Smiths, Cocteau Twins guitar part, doesn't get any better. It's just such an interesting drum beat. It's square in its approach. You know what I mean? If you listen to it, it's very Jay. It's like Jay's kind of thinking with Travis's idea of the groove. What I love about Travis's grace notes is that they're still defined. They're not like trying to search for them. Listen to this. Beautiful. Everything's live. There's not a single sample on this. It wasn't mixed of any samples. There's no samples on it. This is exactly the way that it was given to Mark Needham. You know, I zeroed it out. You've got a rough balance here, but yeah. So, so let's go through. So the kick in was a D112. Kick out was actually a Sennheiser 602. Two together. Now I think I would delay that. You can see that see the kick in here. So what we're going to do, and if this doesn't make sense, please let me know. But I'm going to get here and we're going to try and, so if I go to samples here, it's 88 samples. And if I go here, it's 195. So, and here, is this making sense? 234. So let's go. And here, we're going to try and find an average. Here, 239. I sort of want to go to 200 and see what we get. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to go into delays and I'm going to get time adjuster and get a short one and go 234. See what happens. Let's bypass it. I mean, you can hear the difference. Low end. Low end removed. So that really, really helps. So we brought about 234. Okay, now the one that's going to give you all the low end, of course, is this last kick element here, which is the NS10. And just so you know, it wasn't an NS10. It was a cheap hi-fi speaker that was about this big. So it was more like, I don't know, 6 inches. You know, the ones that have like the grill, which is sort of permanently on the front of it. And I took it out of a box and I taped it to a mic stand and then, you know, had it coming into a DI box, and that was my homemade NS10. But I used to call it NS10 because that's what I was trying to do. Raven, I don't auto-align them manually. I always like to, and this is just me, I always like to keep them where they were recorded. So if I ever want to go back, I can just do that. I don't auto-align them. And to be honest, I can also move this slider here on the delay left and right and hear what it's doing quicker than I can, because that's in real time. It does it in real time quicker than I can if I stop and move it, stop and move it, stop and move it. So actually there's another logical reason for it as well. Okay, so let's listen to all 3 kicks. I don't even think, Paul, it was as good a quality speaker as an Auratone. I think it was just a really crappy speaker. Okay, so let's go and listen to the snare top and snare bottom. I believe this is my Supraphonics. Have a listen. That's my Supraphonic. My Supraphonic is on so many records I've made. Yeah. And let's add in the bottom snare. I think that Waves phase tool is pretty good on guitars. I've heard people use it. I saw a video recently with a couple of Marshall stacks, and the guy doing it said that he didn't change the phase, but you could see on the waveforms that it had been manipulated. It's really tough, you know. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors. I think that you can use those phase tools effectively in a good way. I don't like using them personally on the drums, just because I don't mind it being a little wrong. I don't mind the room mics being a little late or a little smudged. I like that. But I do think with guitars, you're making a good point. If you want the guitars to be slamming, I think using that sometimes can work really, really well. Is that my computer making a bing? Yeah. Bing. Okay, so yeah. So there it is, top and bottom snare with the kicks. Let's have a listen. Cool. So here's the hat. Now the hat, as you probably guessed, is a 57, and it's not a 451. It was an Audio-Technica. It's whatever the cheapest Audio-Technica pencil condenser was. And so they're taped together a la Dave Jordan, then bust on the console. Just sounds like it's played with the foot. It just sounds like he's just bouncing his foot like this. Doesn't sound like there's any stick in there at all. It also sounds, quite frankly, I wonder if you guys and girls are hearing this, it also sounds like he's put a very small ring with a tambo on it. You know those little tambos that go on top of the hi-hat? Yeah, Raven's not noticed it. So it's the small tambo on top, the little tiny ring with the bells in it, and he's just using his foot. Good spot. Nicely spotted, everyone. Good ears. Cool, so let's throw in the toms. All the tom bleed is there, that's the way I left it. I like the sound of the tom bleed on a really, really well-played drum kit. I mean, look at the separation. I mean, even then, even without any work done to it, it's tons of separation. There's a little bit of a hum going on the floor tom, but I don't mind it. You could maybe bring it out a little bit. All right, let's throw in the overheads. Okay, so I had a pair of room mics which were actually Audix microphones, and they were one of the cheapest pairs they make, and they were just like little baby 87s, and they're black, like little, you know, cheap condensers, probably made in China. I have no idea. And I put those against the wall, and my old studio had carpet on the lower part of the wall up to just about 3 or 4 foot, so I put those up against the wall, so they are reflected off the wall. There's a sort of mid-ranginess to them. But there's a couple of really fun things. So here's the wide mics. Now the wide mics are just put on the walls, and they're 57s against the far 2 walls. I loved this sound. Okay, I want to find something for you. I want to show you my old drum room. Give me 1 second to find it. I have a photo of it on my wall or in storage somewhere, just so you can see it. It's pretty fantastic. There's a few photos I've posted over the years, but this is the best photo you're ever going to see of my old drum room. You'll see why in a second. Let's see if we can find it. It's actually quite easy photo to find when I'm not looking for it. Because it's on an album cover or inside of an album. Sorry for the delay. Oh, it's amazing. I thought I was going to find it immediately, and of course put myself in a position of saying I'm going to find it immediately, and I can't. It was one more go. One more look. You know who took the photo? Ethan. Oh, there it is. Oh, tiny little photo. Maybe they've got a better version of it somewhere. It's an Ethan Russell photo. And it's just a great, great shot of the live room with some rock stars in it. So that's the reason why I was thinking of. So maybe there's a better photo of it somewhere. Maybe because it's Ethan Russell's you can't find it. I have a copy of this Sorry, I thought this was going to be really glorious, and not. Let me see. Are we online here?
Yep.
Of course we are, because streaming. So Swing House was my old studio, and Ethan Russell. This is fun to do it like this. And I did it in the wrong part of the search. You can tell it's late. I was late. No, it was tired and I was late. Thanks for your patience, everybody. There it is. And it says I can't find it. And it says I can't find it again. Tiny photo. Wow. Serves me right. Shop Ethan Russell. Oh, is his website down? Do you know who Ethan Russell is, everybody? I'm sure there's a bunch of people that know exactly who that is. I don't know why it's not coming up. Ay, ay, ay. I thought we bought really fast internet here. What happened? It all fell apart.
They lied to us.
I don't know why it's not coming up. Sorry about this. So much for this quick, I'll show you the photo thing, and off I go, and it doesn't exist anywhere. I mean, that's the photo, but it's not showing up. It just goes to a blank page. Is that because this is like the oldest version of Safari ever in the history of the world of Safari? I think it is, because we run one more effort. I picture the person that's going to come back and watch this and be like, what was this guy talking about? Okay. All right, we're getting there. So this was in my old studio. We used to have all of Ethan's photos and stuff up. And as you can see, he's very famous for doing these photos. And here's the catalogue all. There it is. Hey! So there's my old studio. So there we go. We finally did it. Let's see if I can make it a bit bigger. Oh, it's one of those things where... All right, so on the side of the walls, you see where this PA cab is, I would put a 57. The drums were pretty much where Brad has this Brad Wilk there, obviously, Brad I've recorded at there and also here at my studio here. So the drums would pretty much go where you see them, maybe a few feet forward, and then the back wall, you see where I said it was carpet? You can't see where I'm pointing, but imagine, you know, where there's this carpet here, we would put one mic, you know, there, and then one mic the other side of the drum kit. So the mics were like a equilateral triangle from the snare, either side. Then, so it's a pretty big room. The ceiling's a lot higher than you can imagine, because the light that's hanging down is actually hanging down. It's like a trestle ceiling, so the ceiling was actually circular, like this, and it had all of these wooden beams across it. So it was twice as high as you can, basically twice as high as you imagine it looks there. 1.5 to twice, well, 1 3/4 times that height. So pretty high. And so yeah, that's obviously Audio Slave in the room. And so yeah, there's one on the wall that you can see fairly opposite 57, and then the other one was like, imagine where the photograph is being taken from, behind there. And actually where Ethan would have been standing to take the photograph, there was actually a grand piano in there as well. You know, so yeah, no, we haven't upgraded the Safari, because the operating system is older to run Pro Tools, so we need to upgrade the Safari. But anyway, there you go. that's the old drum room. And sometimes I would take those big PA cabs and put them together in the center of the room and then point them like out left and right and feed the kick and snare back through from the console and use the room mics to give me massive kick and snare sounds. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. There you go. We got there in the end. Sorry for the delay. But that is this room that you can see here and hear here. So it's the wide rooms. Let's crank them. Oh, listen to that lovely bleed of everybody playing in the room. See what you can hear. You can hear a guitar and a little bit of bass bleed through. It's great. So I love those wide rooms. So they're pretty indiscriminate. They're just pointed at that back wall that you could see and then the opposite back wall on the other side where Ethan was taking the photo. Now the mono room mic is actually in front of the drums. I don't know if I kept this open, did I? Yeah, okay. So you see where Tom Morello's standing. Imagine where his feet are. That's like in front of the drums. I put a cymbal where Tom Morello's standing and I put a mic on that. And I actually had a TLM 103 or something and I used that. It was the only thing I really liked TLM 103s for. And that's this. And it's actually going through, let's see if I can find it. The Joe Meek mic pre-compressor. I'm blanking on the name, so I'm going to write in, I should put it in the right place. Tell I'm not a Firefox person. Which one is it? Let's find the right one. It is that one. So this is what it would go through. So I used a bit of the EQ, but basically what I liked about it is I could hit the compression pretty hard and drive the mic pre pretty hard. So I take the mic pre here and crunch it really heavily and then compress it with a super fast release time. And so, yeah, it was called a VC1. This one's looks like a slightly later model, but that's basically what I used. And that is a microphone, a TL103 on a cymbal on the ground in front of the drums. Have a listen. It sounds so good. That's like the drum sound. Just use that. So that's what that is. It's just a TLM 103. And when Jack was using the studio a lot, he left me his Altec salt shaker mic. So sometimes I would use that. Sometimes that was too mid-rangey and too kind of carved up. I preferred, because it's already reflected off a cymbal, I didn't really feel the need to do anything else. But the great thing about Travis, as you can tell, is he's a very balanced drummer. So listen to the cymbals. I mean, if that was another drummer, it would be dun, doom, dun, doom, and your head would just fry and your hearing would be gone because he would have smashed it so hard. But he's not. He's a really balanced drummer, so he's like down, doom, down, doom, doom, just beautiful, beautiful control. When people say how to get a good drum sound, the answer is get a good drummer on a good drum kit in a good room. Yeah, TLM 103. And I think I experimented, and when that mic was being used by somebody else, sometimes I'd use a 57. I don't think that was a 57. I think that was a 103. But it could have been the 57. It would have given me very, very similar results. The 103, those cheap Neumanns are okay. It's a tough one. You know, there's so much competition in that at the cheaper end. There's just better mics. There's just better mics, you know. That's why I don't really, you know, you pay for a Neumann name, but you also pay for a Neumann build quality. The great thing about an 87 is the one I had at my last studio, I don't know, you could use it to chip paint off a wall. You know what I mean? It was so tough. It had been beaten up, dropped. Assistants had kicked it over. Everybody, the whole outside was dented, and it still sounded beautiful. I mean, that is the thing about Neumann, it's what you pay for. So I suppose if you've got one of the 103s or the little 102s or whatever they're called, you're going to have a mic that's built like a proverbial brick schnitzel house. You know what I mean? They're really, really tough. However, bear in mind that they might be super, super tough, but the capsules are like, you know, it's kind of a catch-22. Lewitt obviously is really, really well made, but I just feel like if you're going to spend $1,000 on a TLM, there's a lot better mics for $1,000. So, but I do like it. It's one of those things that if you have more money than sense and a massive mic collection, then great. But bear in mind, I bought that TLO 103 in about 98 or 99, when it was the only way I could afford to get a Neumann name. And nobody made mics that were half as good in those days. So what's great about that mic, if you bring it in lightly, is it compresses the grace notes really nicely. Yeah, Martin's pointing out see that's where it is. Oh, you can buy 4 440 Pures. Yeah, I mean that's where we're at. It's just silly now. Look, and don't get me wrong. I think if you've got a commercial studio, it is a name that a lot of people know. And if you've got more money than sense, as my mother would say, then having an 87 in your mic locker is a pretty good idea. I mean, it's a pretty darn good idea. Okay, let's throw in the shaker. Going to put it the opposite side to the hi-hat. Yep, there's chorus all over that bass guitar, Christian. Covered in it. Bye, Paul. Thanks for your great comments. I appreciate it. I appreciate the positiveness. It means a lot. Okay, so here's the electric. I love those pedals. That's Greg Saran. Amazing.
shallow reserve, but you've got a lot of nerve. The feeling I get from closing my eyes is like throwing my hands in the air. I can feel like my mouth, the curses and lies. I don't think that my friends would care. I can feel my face going hot like a film strip, melting like Halloween. Like cover my eyes like a moth to the lights that paralyze. Spineless curve turned on the dime, away from the worst breezes, lost in my mind is a shallow reserve, but you've got a lot of nerve. Shallow reserve, but you got a lot. A time changes time into a spineless curve, turned on a dime, away from my worst prisons, lost in my mind is a shallow reserve, but you got a lot of nerve. You got a lot of nerve. Yes, you got a lot of nerve.
So you can see the thing about mixing this song is going to be a bit of a less is more. So we'll come back in a part 2 after we get back from Germany, and I will mix it for real. But at the moment we've done some balancing and it's pretty close. I mean, it's going to be fun for you guys and girls. But because there's a lot of talk about the strings, have a listen to this. All live, all real. Now here's with the piano. I love this part. Beautiful. And then we added these Love Will Tear Us Apart. Krang-a-gang.
Away from what was preserved, lost in my mind is a shallow reserve, but you got a lot of nerve. You got a lot of nerve. Yes, you got a lot of nerve.
Absolutely love it. So you're going to have a blast with that. Absolutely fantastic. Just so you know how the strings were recorded. So Jay did a show in Charleston at a theatre, and he did it with acoustic guitar, vocal, and an orchestra. And what he did is before, he got there early, and before he got all the arrangements out and gave it to the orchestra to do. And if you listen closely, obviously I've edited and cleaned it up, you can hear that they're playing to monitors. Let's have a listen. Isn't that bleed? So there's monitors like at a show at them. The mics are obviously pointed relatively away from the strings, but there is bleed from the monitors. It's just that because they're string players, they have amazing dynamics and they don't have to have the monitors blaring, but that's how it's recorded. So we had monitors down the front, all the string players on the stage playing back a 2-track mix, and they were playing to the 2-track mix. So it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful one to mix. I think it's going to need a lot of care and attention, like subtle amounts of EQ, subtle amounts of compression. Don't try to bring out everything too far up front. I already think the vocal's probably up front enough with just what I did with Smack, you know. There's an Oxford EQ pulling out a little bit of an ah, but a low one at 200, and there's like a 2 to 3K boost here. But essentially, you know, a little bit of high frequency here. But yeah, essentially, subtlety is where this is going to be done. And I love the drum sound. This was my favorite drum room. It's so sad that it's gone. It's just phenomenal. How many string players? I want to say it was 8 and double tracked. I believe it was 8 double tracked. So Eric, are you uploading the multi-tracks?
I do not have them. They are on the drive that you are working off of.
Okay, so Eric's going to upload them, so you'll probably have them in, I don't know, how long do you think it will take to upload them?
20-ish minutes.
About, say, half an hour from now, the multi-tracks will appear. He'll also send this link back to you guys and girls saying, you know, to check out the stream. And when we come back, we'll do a part B. But I wanted to make sure that you had something to get you going while we're away in Germany over the next week and a half, 2 weeks. So, and this is a wonderful, wonderful song. Jay Clifford, Paralysed, just a masterpiece, and such a talented guy. Very excited. Thank you ever so much. Talk to you all again very soon. Thanks everyone that stuck it out. And good morning to everybody in Europe that just woke up. AJ, I don't know what time of day it is for you in Australia, but it's absolutely amazing to have you all here. And I'll speak to you all again very, very soon. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen.